welcome back to another episode of Why I Love BNI, your podcast spotlighting different businesses and different chapters on what they love about their business and then being a part of the BNI community and how it's helped their business. So today I'm super excited to have my guest Mike with us today. Mike, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity as well.
Of course. Well, you and I connected because we got connected through Rebecca Turner over, I believe she's in your chapter, when
Right.
she came on the podcast a few weeks ago. And when you and I connected over the phone, I mean, you have such a fun business. So I feel like we could have talked for at least two, three, 4 more hours of the already long conversation we had. So I'll kind of let you take it away and kind of explain what you do because it's super cool and it's super fun. So why don't you take it away and just tell a little bit about what you're doing and how you're helping people?
Thank you very much. And I agree. I could have gone on for hours for sure. To let you know, we are a veteran-owned travel agency. In 2021, I was facing retirement from the Army and trying to decide what do we want to do when we get out. And there's, I'd say, a pretty traditional path. A lot of people get out and work as a Department of Army civilian or a defense contractor or stay connected to the military, Department of Defense, or U.S. government in some way. That is a very traditional path. And I said to my wife, I'm like, what if we just tried something radically different than that? And I didn't have any ideas at the time. So I stirred over it and stirred over it. And I realized one thing that I was doing literally every day to kind of take my mind off of work, to relieve some stress, that was to come home and spend a few minutes, up to maybe even an hour, planning my family's annual vacation.
Mhm.
And that was always to Walt Disney World. We had young kids at the time, and that was kind of the constant in their life. As we moved every couple of years, we said, we'll take you to Disney World every year. So every day I would spend a few minutes planning our annual trip, looking at the different specials that came out, or maybe if a ride was going to close while we were there, or how changing a dining reservation would impact things. And so I said to my wife, what if this is what I do as a career in retirement? And when the shock wore off, because that is radically different. We'd done some research into it to see how you can get into the business. We decided this is worth a shot. And so that's what we did at the end of 2021 when I got out of the Army, when I retired from the Army. We decided to open Dapper Travels, a travel agency that at the time specialized in Disney parks and resorts. Since that time, uh, it's been, I guess we're coming up on 3+ years now. Since that time, we added cruises to our portfolio. And in discovering the world of cruising and certifying in those, we discovered the Cunard line. And here's a classic Cunard line poster right above my shoulder here. I like to tell people it was the Cunard line who rescued the survivors of the Titanic. That's how long this line has been around. And it is still a very elegant, very ocean liner style experience with people dressing in formal attire for the evenings on their gala nights. And we're like, well, that is not only did we enjoy the cruise line a lot, that is right on brand with Dapper Travels, because it's a very dapper cruise line. And then a natural progression from there is we added authentic European experiences to the portfolio. Those started out as kind of pre and post cruise experiences for people, and now we do full on land tour exclusively if folks want to do that. Um, in terms of the Dapper, we always had a vision of trying to incorporate attire into the vacation planning or vacation experience. And some of our early Disney vacation itineraries that we gave to folks, we had some attire recommendations on there. We realized clients didn't really need that per se on every
Mm.
vacation. So what we kind of pivoted to is we still do all the vacation planning services. And then on the social media side, that's where we highlight what we are wearing on our different trips. Is it something that's based on the theme of the trip? Is it something that's based on the activity that we're doing? Is there some type of formal night that's happening and that's why we're wearing that? So on the social media side, we're all about the attire and our pairing attire and travel. And on the trip planning side, we can give you the vacation that you want.
Wow, that's so amazing. I mean, I know Disney's we're spoiled a little bit here in Florida, but I mean, I'm not a native Floridian and it sounds like you're not either. But it's one of those trips where people love to plan it every single moment. And it matters, you know? You don't realize how much it matters until you're there in the park. Like I remember one time me and my friends we went to, Universal, but the first day we kind of did it backwards and I was like, "Wait, why are we stuck in so many lines for so long?" And the next day I was like, "Let's try this." And we then spent like half of the day where we were like, what did we even do? Like, we did all the big ones we wanted to do. We did, Rip Ride Rocket, we did Harry Potter, we did Mummy, we did all of those things within like 2 hours. So then the rest of the day, we were like, which line do we even want to bother with? We went through everything. So it matters so much to have an expert like you come in and really plan every moment of every, the day and the meals and things like that.
You were precisely right. A Disney vacation and many vacations, they are a hefty sum of money for a lot of families. They really are. And you could pay this much money and get this much of an experience because you don't
Mm,
know what to do. You don't have any advice. You don't have a lifeline should things not go to plan. Or you could get this much to do and make the most out of the money that you've invested in that vacation experience. And so there's where expertise come into play. I like to tell people that I am not a booking agent. Anyone can go on Travelocity, Expedia, Kayak, and look for a hotel and book it, or look for a flight and book it. I can do that for you. Of course I can. But our goal is to add value to everyone's vacation experience by providing some destination or activity-based expertise. We're not going to send you to Europe without some recommendations of things to do and some activities already booked. We're not going to put you on a cruise and say, well, I don't know much about this cruise. Here's the website, figure it out. We're going to coach you through any process that you have to be personally involved in and take care of any process that we can take care of on your behalf. We're going to have some events and occasions and tours lined up for you when you arrive to Europe. And one thing I like to point out specifically about European vacations is when people plan on their own, sometimes they look at a vacation as just a sum of a bunch of parts. Well, we present you a seamless, complete vacation experience so that from the time you arrive, you know the vacation is going to flow together until the time you depart. And that includes booking all your transportation for you to get from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to the tour. Perhaps you're hopping from city to city in Europe. So each hotel along the way and each transportation along the way, it makes it one seamless experience. And that's something people don't remember to do, both when it comes to budgeting and when it comes to actually booking things in advance. It takes an expert to do that kind of stuff
it
and get the
is.
product that we offer.
Yeah, I went to London for my birthday over in August, and I planned my trip all by myself, and it took a really long time. It took maybe a month and a half of me checking every day of, all right, what's a reservation I can make? What should I make? And there's one thing about me is I hate it when it's not seamless, like you mentioned. Like I won't even like if I'm just driving around and I'm doing errands for the day, but the errands aren't planned out in the most time productive way, I get mad and then I won't finish my errands for the day because now I don't want to go all the way back to Target when I passed by already. Like I'm not going to do that anymore because now I already passed and I'm like I can't even go back now. It's too much energy. So like something like that for your vacation of having someone come in and take that stress away from you. I mean, it makes the experience so much easier. You don't have to think, oh my gosh, I just drove by Big Ben again, but I'm not gonna go see Big Ben for 5 more days, and
Excellent
it's like,
example.
I just went past it, and I went all the way around town when I didn't even have to do that. I could have done it, like, to see Big Ben and then go to the other place in town. Like, you don't even realize some of these things until you're there, and you're like, "Oh, this could have been easier, couldn't it?" So
And it's very validating to have a client maybe start with a Disney vacation with us and then book a cruise with us and then book a European with us
Mm.
and then book another trip with us because they realize the value that we've added to their vacation.
Definitely. I mean, we could go on for at least 3,000 more hours about vacations.
Sure
There's so
could,
many
sure could.
great things to talk about. But switching gears just a little bit, what got you involved with BNI? Who was the first person that invited you?
So as you mentioned earlier, Rebecca Turner, who you recently had on your
Mm-hmm.
podcast, she's the owner of the Poppin' Box. And my son was a senior in high school and was looking for jobs and applied and was hired at the Poppin' Box. And I just have to say, well, first of all, Poppin' Box is a great location, a great experience. But I can't imagine a more chill job for a high schooler than a gourmet popcorn shop. But he learned a ton at working there. I went into the Poppin' Box one day to talk to Rebecca because I didn't really have any Jacksonville or local clients or a lot of local contacts, having been a little bit new to the area. And I said, I've got a maybe odd idea for a social media reel or a series of social media reels leading up to Small Business Saturday. I wonder if you're interested. We plan to host a cruise next year and it's going to make some stops. And I want to do something about, hey, this cruise is stopping in this city. And then you could chime in. Well, and we've got these candies or these popcorns or these items that maybe relate to that destination. And we just do a few reels about each city and put it all together. She was on board with the idea, which is great because I know it was a pretty strange idea to bring, but she was on board with the idea. And she said, by the way, do you know about my networking group that meets here on Thursday mornings? And I said, I'm not aware of it. And she said, well, if you don't have any local clients and you don't have a lot of local contacts, this might be a great opportunity for you. So I was the visitor that she brought in one week, and I realized this is an exceptional opportunity for me. This will get me connected not only to just local businesses and local go-getters in the community, but the possibility of referrals from the local area. That's hugely important to a business. You can try to operate exclusively on social media, especially as a travel agent, but it's just not the same. There's no real way to kind of celebrate milestones with local clients or to host a cruise night to invite people to join you on a hosted cruise without local clients. So this was a game changer for me, and I was really, really pleased that she invited me to be part of it.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's also super helpful for your clients who are not in Florida and not local because once you start connecting with more Florida business, I mean, a lot of cruises depart from here, obviously Orlando, Disney. So being able to give them more resources on top of their vacation, I'm sure is a huge bonus for you and your network. Um,
Absolutely.
so before I wrap it up, like kind of my last final question, I'd love to hear. I know when people join BNI, it can be intimidating. There can be a learning curve. So what was one of the things that you learned that you're like, oh wow, this is so cool to learn either about networking or something that someone gave you some advice when you first joined BNI?
I believe that the diversity and variety of different types of businesses that were both in my specific chapter
Mm-hmm.
or at regional events or cross chapter visits that I've done helped me to realize there were some things inside my business that I might need some support on that I didn't even think about. I was trying to run my own social media when I started. I got some assistance through the BNI network to help run my social media. I know, and even some things that I'm not ready to implement right away, I now have a contact down the road. When I go to improve my website, for instance, I know exactly who to turn to. When I go to um, maybe introduce pet care or styling to some folks, or I've even met a tailor. As people want to travel, maybe spiff it up a little and look like a dapper traveler. I know exactly who to turn to refer them to. And so that helps both clients, but I also have opportunities to help my own business as I start to expand, start to grow, and start to need to delegate some of the tasks that I do myself now. So it's really learning different things about your own business that you didn't even realize you needed to know. And it's just the exposure to those other businesses that are out there.
Exactly, and you don't even realize, how you're able to refer some of these businesses until you get to know them, you get to know their products, and you get to know their services. Like, I know that I've given a lot of referrals to senior home care services, which I'm a podcast. You never expect me to know so many people in that field, but, I've been able to refer them a lot and connect people all over, the few counties here in Northeast Florida about it. So you just never know who knows who, and I think that's the funniest part about BNI. We see each other so much, and we think, "Oh, well, I hopefully I'm not gonna need, the tree guy or the guy who fixes your house." But then you don't realize a client might mention something, you go, "Oh my gosh, do I know someone for you?" So,
Absolutely.
it's the small things like that. But Mikey, thank you so much for coming on, spending a few minutes with me. I really appreciate this was fun. I think I told you when you
Great.
got on, this was gonna be a fun one. I thought it was fun, so
Thank
I
you
think
so
I was
much.
right. Of course. And to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.